everybody. Welcome to Coaching Queens 2020. I am Queen Bee Baumgarth.
And I am Queen Bee Burrow. And today we have Helice Bridges joining us, also known as Grandma Sparky from TikTok, as I am told by my youth group, is very, very big name. So
Wow.
I don't really do so I haven't figured out the TikTok thing yet. They told me not to download it because I break my phone enough as it is. They're like, just don't. So, but we wanted to have you on because you are making some incredible differences in the world. And because we talk about inner peace and what that means to everybody when they come on the show, how we've implemented that in life and how we've come to achieve that throughout our lives.
Yes.
One of the things that you're real big in is the National Blue Ribbon and making a difference. So my question is how did this all get started for you?
Oh, first of all, let me thank you guys for being so good looking. Okay. Good looking, spontaneous, and just doing the do. I just want to just give you your rock stars. I put my big glasses on so I could see you. Okay. so yeah. How did I start it? So basically, I'm 79 years young now. And about 40 years ago, I was a millionaire, married, 2 beautiful kids. We had a home on the ocean. Here's the good news about all that. Having the American dream and working towards something and producing that is wonderful. The other news is that having the American dream and looking really good to everybody else and not knowing behind closed doors what is happening in the family, which is a lot. And in my case, my amazing husband, who is beloved, he's no longer with us, but a beloved entrepreneur, was very controlling, intimidating, and verbally abusive in the whole 18 years we were married. And I was shrinking down, but very successful in my career in real estate. And he was very successful, but I was chipped away, every time I came in the house. Most of us want at least one person to love us, our mother, our father, somebody, our husband, our wife, whatever, our kids, we're just literally dying for that. And eventually I chose to commit suicide. I couldn't. I just went blank one day, and when it went dark, and I just didn't know what happened. And I said, "That's it. I don't matter." And here's the great news about National Blue Ribbon Week. Well, how did it start? And I want to give this gift for all of us because, especially children. And we're talking about the child inside of us all now, because if we're all grown up, we're still, it's an urgency inside to feel I'm enough, I'm good enough, I matter in this world. And on the day I was going to take my life, I literally started to shake and cry and fall to my knees, and I screamed to the heavens, stop the world, I got to get off and find a way where people love each other. And I heard this sweet little voice inside of me. I never heard this before. A sweet little voice that whispered and said, you can't take your life because you're going to sing, dance, write, and have a musical on Broadway in New York. And you're going to teach the world how to love. Exactly those words.
Wow.
And so fast forward, I left my husband. I moved out of our $1 million house. I went homeless. I gave up my $1 million career, and I just said, how do I make a difference? 1979, I said, I don't know. And what came through me was to create a blue ribbon that you see above my head a little bit. It says, who I am makes a difference. And you see it on my jacket also somewhere.
Yes, I see it. Bing.
Yeah. Bing. And yes, and it was a download. And there's a big story behind that I won't tell right now, but into how to listen to, whether it's God or our higher self or or our intuition or whatever you want to call it. I said, I don't know how to do this. And what came through me is perhaps people needed to be loved like me.
Yes.
And so I created the Blue Ribbon and began to honor people. Today, 50 million, well, we estimate on the low end, 50 million people have been impacted by this message in 12 languages now, and we're going for 1 billion people to be honored.
Wow.
By November 7th through the 14th will be National Blue Ribbon, Global Blue Ribbon Challenge Week. Between now and the next 5.5 months, we'll be, all of us, everybody, will be reaching out to the National Football League, to major corporations, to individuals, to everybody, and say, get on board with us. Order ribbons. You can get free ribbons too, going to our website. I'll tell you more about that also. But basically, everybody that you honor, take a picture if you can and give it to us so we can post it every single day and say,
wow.
so we want to give you a shout out. Okay. We want to say, okay, look, Queen Bees are honoring people, and we put your little website down and ours, and we say, these are our connections. These are the people that are mattering and making a difference. We're focusing on what's working instead of what isn't.
That's awesome. I love that so much.
So that's the short story. And the other story that I want to tell you, and you can ask me this question, but I'll ask and answer it.
Okay.
Okay. Because I asked you to ask this question, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I asked you to ask the question about National Blue Ribbon Week for a really particular reason, because I wanted to honor you guys. The reason why is that one person makes a huge difference. You make up this opportunity to, is this called a podcast?
Sure.
Show what? Yeah, it's.
I don't understand all that. I still don't. I'll get it down right. Okay,
Right.
It's a thing, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's so people, you talk and people listen, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so somebody had to create this like machinery and this computer and this Zoom thingy and all like that. Somebody does that, and then we can drop in on it. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not taking a risk. You're going, let's have some fun.
Mm-hmm.
We're friends. We're on C-suite. We're connected. You're making a difference with kids. How do we do this together? And so why I said this is because I found a CD. For those that don't know what a CD is, it's a thing that's round. It's before whatever we're doing now. And
Yes.
but I had to get my car detailed, and I cleaned out everything in my automobile in a stack of CDs. And inside of that, this is only 2 weeks ago, inside of that, I find they call me Grandma Sparky now, but it was Sparky 2000. In October 2000, we used to have people actually called us on the phone, picked up a phone. It's called a landline. Okay. And we talked to people. They didn't go on the computer and order, and you never saw them, right? Mm-hmm. So, everybody that called to order blue ribbons or get me to speak or whatever it was, we had a conversation. It's like we talked to each other. Mm-hmm. And so it was October 2000, and Eddie Levitt, who is a residence advisor at the University of North Carolina, calls to order 100 ribbons, which is $20. And I said, Eddie, did you know that next month is National Blue Ribbon Week? He said, no, I didn't know that. I said, yeah, how many students on your campus? He said, 23,000. I said, what would it take for 23,000 people to be honored with the blue ribbon? He said, let me think about that. And I said, okay, great. We hang up, take the $20 order. Pam, my assistant, comes in. I have a little cottage house, okay? 1-bedroom house, 1 bath, little tiny place. She has a desk next to me. She jumps up and says, what are you doing? There is no National Blue Ribbon Week. I said, I know. She says, you've got to stop doing that. I said, I can't. It just pops out of my mouth. She goes, you know, every time you come up with a new idea, I have to figure out a system for it. So I go, so then the phone rings, right? And I pick it up, and it was another person. Well, here's the story that to empower you and anybody listening is 17 people. That includes Walmart, US Cellular, the University of North Carolina, kids, parents, organizers, chambers of commerce, everybody that called. I would say, guess what? Next month is National Blue Ribbon Week. 17 people made it possible for 3 million people to be honored within 30 days. And I interviewed them. I went to Radio Shack and bought some kind of contraption, and I plugged it, put it on my phone with the little earphones, I think. And I don't know how I put it on a CD. I have no idea how I did that. But anyway, interviewed them 1 to 2 minutes to capture it. And then I put the CD away, and that was it. I lost it. I lost, and all these connections were just like you. It's like, what can we do? And we're doing the state, and we got our governor behind this, and we got blah, and Walmart was 250,000 employees, and I mean, all this is going on. Okay, this is not, and everybody's like, yeah, this is what everybody needs. This is 21 years ago. When I'm listening to it and found it a couple of weeks ago, I said, oh my God, this is the Holy Grail. And the reason why is because every one of them said we didn't have to sell it to anybody. We just honored somebody with a ribbon. They go, this is what we need. And it caught on, and it saved lives, and it ended bullying, and it stopped crime and violence in companies, and it brought people together, and it did it in a minute or less. In listening to this, and this is the last part of this, and then you could ask me what you want, but I sat back and I'm listening to this CD over and over and over again in the last 2 weeks. And I said to myself, what happened to you? 21, it's 21 years later. What everybody was right there. How did you check out? What went on? And I went into a fog, and I went, I don't know. And then I stopped and said, okay, well, one of the things is a national catalog company, a school catalog company, ripped our whole website off, put it in their catalog, and said they claimed the ribbon was theirs. And we found out about it, and we sued them, and we won. And that I kind of checked out. I don't know where I might have gone then. And then other things came. Columbine was just a year before this. And here nobody was listening to kids. And we couldn't get the conversation in a media. I got kicked out of every school because all I had was a ribbon. It was a different, if you went to the top down, it wasn't as easy as people to people. So I was telling my colleague yesterday about that. And I said, because now we're going for $1 billion, and now we have systems and structures in place. We can accommodate this, and we couldn't at that time. I was just saying to her, she knew me all that time. She's a PR marketing person, a good friend. And we were talking about it. I said, I checked out. You were there, remember? And she said, yeah, I was there during that whole time. I said, what happened? And she said, it doesn't matter what happened then. We didn't have the systems in place. You were overwhelmed. And the demands were so great. So now it's the IDEO's time has come.
I love it. Something you just said just hit me really hard. That I hit that moment too. In my first marriage, I was like, I'm not enough. I'm not worth it. I can't do this. And my grandma, who I was really close to, You just said something. She used to say, to stop the world, I need to get off.
Wow. Wow.
And it just reminds me she's here and what we're doing is powerful. And now there's 3 of us on the screen. We're all in the same, idea. We want to help people know that they matter. And that was one of our driving forces to doing this show. I don't know what the word is.
Podcast,
vlog, whatever.
Right.
But we want to give people that platform to share themselves. And it's just some days it hits me like a brick and you're like, okay, I can do this. It's good. It's all good. Like you said, they're not listening to the kids. But now that's starting to change. It's starting to shift. The kids are getting their own voices. And I just felt that peace hit me again. Oh, okay, that's weird. It's so strange. So in yours, was that moment a defining moment for you to find that peace, or have you always known what peace has felt like from an early age?
Great question. Let me say that I was fortunate. I grew up with wonderful parents. Loving, supportive, empowering. Go girl, you can do it. We love you. A simple life in a 3-bedroom, 1-bath home with no air conditioning in Florida. Okay, so it's it's like we had enough money to eat, but the empowerment and the support and nurturing, I didn't realize how important that was. And I was a cheerleader and a pom-pom girl in high school and all like that. So I was always I voted peppiest in my school, Hall of Fame kind of thing. So I had that in me, right? And then when everything closed down in my marriage, from the get-go, it's like something happened and you just kind of want your husband to love you and you do what you do. The peace I feel right now, and this came, I tell everybody, I've been trained by this ribbon. I invited people to go out and honor people and tell people how much they mattered and give them 2 extra ribbons so they could honor others. And I'll tell you about that story, our signature story that's created 50 million people being honored. But what's the truth about this is, how do we find that peace? How do we find that we do matter? When we're downloaded, the seeds of greatness inside of us, something wants to sprout and matter. We all have a tucked in dream, is my experience. And the only thing that cultivates it is somebody telling you matter. Somebody that's your parents, your teacher, we just need one person to validate us. Just one. And I was that one person for a lot of people over the years, honoring people. And they became that, honoring others with the blue ribbon. It's contagious. But here's the gift that I have come to. And this is very recent, by the way. So if anybody thinks you got to rush this, mother, I just want to say it takes time.
Yes.
It does take time, because we got this chatter going on, 24/7 that says, yeah, but if only I had, more money, more time, more done, more love, more something, I have that forever and ever and ever. High school graduate talking now to PhDs, CEOs of major companies now. But at the time, it's like, they're kicking my butt out. They're going, well, with it, you got a ribbon, get out, you're a fly in my eye, Now, what I've really come to realize, like even yesterday, I said, you know what? It's taken me 40 years to be unconditionally loving of myself and everyone else. I have not a judgment about anything anymore. It is a pure waste of my energy. It is what it is. And my job is only to love and to see what you do right and see what I do right and give us a shout out. and cheer us on. And I have come to that completely.
Wow.
I
That's-
see everything as love and beauty.
That's
all. I
powerful.
see it all. Yeah.
That is powerful. And I
Well-
think that's what a lot of people are trying to get to. But like you said, everyone's trying to rush it.
Trying to rush it, exactly. And I thought I knew it. Charity knows this, but back in November I had a heart attack.
Wow.
And I had an artery that was 99% blocked, and I had a stent put in. And if that didn't do awakening, and I wanted a platform where I did find the inner peace. It's the small stuff, doesn't matter, and everything is small stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted a platform. That's why Charity, I grabbed her and I said, let's do this, and let's go on, and you make a difference. You matter to us.
Yes. This is an incredible movement. This is powerful what you're doing. I mean, it really is. I hear people all the time, they're like, "Oh, I just don't matter. I must not matter." I'm like, "Wow." It blows my mind, and there are days where I sit here and I'm like, then I'm like, "Do I matter? How do I make a difference?"
Yeah, it's so here's the thank you very much for telling me. Sometimes we, things change. I give this shout out to Tony Robbins, who says people only change if there's enough pain or enough
Mhm.
pleasure. You're happy, you go, I could do all a million things. All of a sudden something catastrophic happens and we go, wait a minute. And all of a sudden we see the world differently. You get a stint, you make good decisions. Yes.
Mhm.
In the process of me honoring people over these 40 years, which I do every day, by the way, all the time, you could not get me to not honor somebody. It's just like a bumblebee goes from flower to flower to collect the nectar to bring it to the queen bee, right? Okay. You understand what I'm saying?
Totally.
Here's a gift. I'm going to give it to you. I don't know if you know what the processional effect is. Do you? Processional effect? I'm going to give it to you. Okay. And I'll give a shout out to Money and You, to DC Cordoba, who is the co-founder of Money and You. And by the way, she was with Rich Dad, Poor Dad with Kiyosaki. She was a partner to Kiyosaki. She's a good friend of mine. But
Okay.
DC said this, and DC and Money and You, by the way, this is my shout out. In Money and You, which is a week-long program, one of the things about the processional effect, which was coined by Buckminster Fuller, for those of us that don't know Bucky, okay, you might know Bucky Fuller.
Mhm.
He was considered today's Einstein and Leonardo da Vinci. And what Bucky said is this. He said, a bumblebee goes from flower to flower to collect the pollen, to go back to make, for the queen bee, right?
Right.
But what it really is doing is cross-pollinating. Without the bumblebee, we wouldn't have flowers and fruit. It cross-pollinates. So on a 90-degree angle, we're going and doing all of us, you and this conversation we're having is going straight, to everybody who's listening. But on a 90-degree angle or the processional effect, we're impacting the world in ways that we don't even know.
Wow.
Oh,
We're
that makes
cross-pollinating
sense.
right now.
That's awesome.
It is awesome. And the reason why I say this is with the ribbon is every time I stop to honor somebody, mostly people would go, oh, or they cry and say, you're the first person that ever told me I mattered. I've been doing this for 40 years, so I have a pretty good statistic about that. It's a one-on-one. Or if I'm in large audiences of 2,500, it's all the same, or kids, or adults, or generals. I've been with everybody that is the tops of the world, presidents of countries, or, little kids. This conversation is the same all over the world. It's, I don't matter. I'm not enough yet. I got straight A's and my father wants me to get A pluses. I get an A plus and that ain't enough. Because his father told him he wasn't enough, that kind of thing, generational. And then you matter and make a difference with one person, and it saves a life. And you don't know it until somebody tells you that story.
Exactly.
Yes.
May I tell you the signature story that created 50 million people being
Sure.
impacted?
Yes, please.
Okay, so this is why what we're doing together is so delicious. Let's put it that way, delicious. So this is 1988.
Mm-hmm.
I have left my husband. I have already gone to given away my clothes, my jewelry, my Mercedes, my everything in the world. I wind up in Israel for a year and a half, working in the fields, being a migrant worker, doing just a lot. That's a whole nother story. Um, I, I, in, well, before I left, when I left my husband, I went and became co-chair of the San Diego Hunger Project as a volunteer, and I spoke to schools about ending world hunger, and this is a precursor, whatever you say, before the ribbon, how the ribbon came about. But the kids, the Hunger Project was about not feeding people, but teaching people how to feed themselves in the inside out. It's all over the world. They're phenomenal. Mm-hmm. And so when I get finished with, here's 800 kids in an auditorium, or 1,000 or whatever, they would come up to me after and say, one boy said, well, we're starving now. My father just lost his job and we're losing our home. And then a girl comes up and says, my mother's got cancer. Mm-hmm. And then a teacher comes up and says, my son just got arrested for drugs. Mm. And I'm talking about ending world hunger, and they're all starving. And so I'm wherever I go, I'm hearing these stories, and I go home and I go, I don't know what to do. I'm going through a divorce still. I mean, all this is happening to me, and I don't know how to help anybody else. I don't even know I matter. I'm going to fast forward and just say that I bought 1,000 buttons that said, who I am makes a difference. And I walked up to people, and somebody was pulling a weed out of their yard. I pull my car over, jump out and go, hey, great job making your garden better. You pulled the weed. And without permission, I'd stick that button into their sweatshirt or something. And I'd say, see ya. And I'd leave. Okay. And they started saying, who is that masked woman? With the mask. I just disappear. And then pretty soon people started buying the buttons to give somebody. And I raised $1,000 a month for the Hunger Project, and I just gave it to them. And then I went off to Israel. Come back, and everybody stops me a year and a half later, and they go, you're the lady that gave me the button. And the button is on their door rusting, or I can't go to a restaurant without somebody coming over and saying, you gave me a button. And it's a year and a half later.
Wow.
And so this one teacher, her name is Maple, she comes over and she says, I took that button and put it in the medicine cabinet in our bedroom. Every night my kids come home and they drop their books on the floor and they yell, when's dinner going to be ready? I'm a school teacher. I have a full-time job. I'm grading papers. I'm cooking dinner. I'm mixing the dinner. I'm cooking. I'm grading. And they're dropping their books. My husband comes home, pops a beer, sits down in front of the TV, he's watching the sports. He yells, when's dinner going to be ready? I get a headache. I leave the kitchen. I march into the bedroom, march into the bathroom, open my medicine cabinet, look at that button. And I say, Mabel, who you are makes a difference. And she said, I haven't taken medicine in a year and a half because you told me that I mattered.
Wow.
And that was the first story.
Wow.
The first story. And I went, what? Person doesn't take medicine in a year and a half? And then the stories started to come one after the other after the other. Every one is monumental in its own right. The story that came in 1988, I'm now in a garage doing telemarketing for $1.50 if I enroll somebody going to their bank or something, I think it was. And I'm right next to the washing machine and dryer, and it's making noise, and I'm on this little phone thing. And I'm in my friend's house because I can't afford, getting my own place. Left $1 million career, left everything. And I get this phone call from a teacher in New York who says, I got your ribbons, and I honored each of my high school seniors one at a time, my class. I gave them 3 extra ribbons. I said, go out and do a community project to see how these ribbons can make a difference. And one of her students, high school senior students, went to a junior executive that afternoon, honored him for helping with his career planning. And he asked him, would you accept my blue ribbon, which is the tradition? The junior executive said, yes. May I have permission to place it on you? Yes. I'm placing it above your heart. This is the ceremony. I place it above your heart, pointing up toward all your best dreams coming true. And it's tradition for me to take the spark from my heart and put it in the cheerleaders in this ribbon. It's the sound that makes dreams come true. And the sound is
Bing.
That's awesome.
And it's awesome. It just was what I came through me. And so the high school student gave them 2 extra ribbons to the junior executive. Says, we're doing a class project. Would you honor somebody, give them a ribbon to honor somebody else, and tell me what happened so I could tell the boy and he could report it in class. That afternoon, the junior executive goes to his grouchy boss. This is Wall Street now, New York. He honors him and he says, sir, he said, I want to honor you for being a creative genius. You built this company, gave me a job. And with the permission, could I place this ribbon on you? I'm cheering you on for your dreams and so forth. And he gives him the last ribbon and says, this boy's doing a class project. Would you honor somebody and tell me what happened? That night, the grouchy boss is driving home in New York traffic. Who am I going to honor? And when he gets home, he sits this 14-year-old boy down. And he says to him, every night I come home and I yell at you for not cleaning up your room or getting better grades. Tonight, son, I just want to tell you that who you are makes a difference and that I love you. The boy starts to sob. He cannot stop crying. He gets up, walks over, opens a drawer, pulls out a gun, looks at his dad, and he says, I was planning on committing suicide tomorrow, Dad, because I didn't think you loved me, and now I don't have to.
Wow.
Wow.
I couldn't stop crying when that teacher called me. In those days, I didn't have a computer. I didn't take her name. I didn't even know what school she was. I only heard New York. And I said, I'm going to tell that story for the rest of my life, because it was one teacher. It was me in California, one spark,
Wow.
one person,
Wow.
impacting a teacher in New York who impacts 30 kids with a concept of community building, which is what I always wanted, and saves that boy's life. I began to tell that story, and of course, my colleagues, Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen, who are the co-authors of Chicken Soup for the Soul, and in those days, we were all working on for years about self-esteem. When the first Chicken Soup book came out in 1993, 101 stories were in there. Out of 2,500 that were submitted, mine was one of them. This story was one of them. And as a result of people reading that story, in 2000, it was made into a television movie. This story in 2005 was made into a YouTube movie picked up by another company, and it went viral, and 50 million people all over the world wanted the ribbons in every language there was. And I have a little computer in my little house. Can't figure this out for nothing. Okay, I'm spinning like a top, and It's in Hebrew, it's in French, it's in Korean, it's in Chinese, it's in, every Spanish, every 12 languages. And I'm being invited to speak on main stages. But that story, every time I say that story, it's as if I'm hearing it for the first time in that garage. Always. It's people go onto our website and it's the first thing that shows up. You know, you can click and watch the 7-minute story. It's yeah.
I love it. Love is this powerful. This right here, this is what it's all about, is just be that pebble, be what you want to see, and it spreads and it takes off. And I love what you are doing. This is it. Oh, the waves, you'll never fully know how big this goes.
It's I got my tissue, by the way.
I know. I'm really
honored. No, I like yeah, we don't know. It's like the pebble in the pot, like we estimate 50 million because of that, but we don't know the exponential effect of these programs that we're doing right now.
Yes.
A valet service here, a gentleman saw my ribbon and he says, where'd you get your ribbon? I said, oh, I'm the creator. And he goes, one out of every 4 cars that pull into our restaurant has a ribbon on their visor. And we all wonder where it comes from. And I said, oh, I'm the creator. And, you know, see it on walls in Boeing aircraft. You see it on backpacks. You just see it on bookmarks. We don't know.
You don't know.
No.
You can't know.
You don't. I remember talking. I'm in St. Louis, Missouri. I'm an hour south, and people know about the blue ribbon.
Is that
They're
right?
telling
Really?
me yes. So
no,
you would
serious? Oh,
yeah.
that is so charming. I want to just say something about that. That's so exciting for my heart because I don't know that until somebody tells me. You say,
right.
Yeah. And we're working on this big project. By the way, I do a training program. We do a training program for kids online now in schools called Making Dreams Come True.
Wow.
And it's a 6-week online, an hour and a half a week. And we just finished it with a high risk school with all the kids that are, we did it with 13 to 15-year-olds and with their 30 of their counselors, their administrators, their teachers, and their support systems. So 60 of them were on this call.
Wow.
An hour and a half once a week. And which transformed the whole school. Instead, the principal, Brian, said, in 20 years, I've never seen this kind of transformation in our school. He's amazing in his own right, because these kids have been trafficked. They come from the juvenile justice system, and they're all now empowering each other's dreams, talking about helping each other. Their conversations have completely shifted. And then from that, we have our certification training.
Okay.
So that you all can be trained to teach what I teach. So the next one will start on July, I think the 6th, and it's 2 hours once a week for 6 weeks.
Wow.
It's called Standing Strong Together, a community building leadership training. It's only $397 to be in it. And then we sponsor in all the kids into it.
There you go.
So we sponsored in six of the kids that out of the 30, we thought these kids are phenomenal. And if we have permission to show their faces, because not all you can do that a lot of times.
Right.
And so their principal and my right hand walker, Brant, we selected these kids, and now they're with the adults that represent major companies.
That's awesome.
So everybody's in the same boat together. There's no difference between young people. It's an intergenerational training. Anybody that wants to participate has to be nominated. And they have to fill out an application. Used to be $1,200 for adults to come in and do this. Cost a lot of money, hotel and all like that. But now it's $397 for kids and adults. If you sponsor a kid or you want to be in it, you could go to our website. I can give you that information.
We get all that information from you.
Yeah.
And we'll definitely post it.
And we're just starting that right now. So the next group, we're saying, okay, who do you know that wants to be in it? And then they make an application. Sorry, I can't tell. And I read it, and if I know you and you say this is a good person, it's a very good way of getting in, right?
That's awesome.
But not everybody gets in. It's not for the money. It's just to make sure that if you teach this, you're the right person to do it.
Yes.
Well, Helice, I hate to cut this short. We have made an hour show.
Wow.
Good on us. 20 minutes. We've made an hour show.
Look at us go. It's important message to get out there to share this. Thank you so much.
We will get the information. We'll make sure everybody
gets
it and post it. And don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.
Good on you guys.
Finally, a better way to hold your phone. Introducing Steady Straps. Made here in the USA, Steady Straps are high-quality, flexible straps that adjust to hold virtually any phone comfortably and securely. Steady Straps are washable and come in a wide range of colors and styles. See them all at SteadyStraps.com. Because they're so visible, they're the perfect promotional item to advertise your company message or logo. Learn more at SteadyStraps.com. That's SteadyStraps.com.
Hey guys, we're back. Wow, that was absolutely incredible. We really hope you guys enjoyed this special episode of the Queen Bees. We know it's a little longer than our normal one, but the message was pretty big. So we wanted to make sure that we shared. And you guys, we all matter. We really, truly do. We never know the kind of impact we're having, but somewhere you've made an impact on people. And that's yes, exactly. And that's the big part of what I do with the youth group too, is sometimes it's the smallest thing, a smile to someone in the store, complimenting someone, hey, I like your eyes, or especially with the mask mandate, I was like, oh, you have pretty eyes. And just saying hi to someone, sometimes we all just want to be seen and feel like we matter. We do, every single one of us. So I really, really hope that everybody enjoyed this as much as we did, because it's powerful. And order the ribbons, spread the love, man, spread it.
Look the information up. We're going to have it on here on our description. And we have, let me see, who do we have coming up now? Who do we have coming up now? Okay, we have
Harold
Long on the 15th. Dan Goodwin on the 22nd, and John Largent on the 29th. I'm excited, you guys.
So excited.
This is going to be great. And thank you, Helice, Grandma Sparky Bridges. Thank you so much.
Yes.
And I just want to end saying, make the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord turns his face towards you and give you peace. Thank you, everybody.
Bye. Guys.